Good morning, everybody. This is Zan.
This is Oli.
Welcome to the Nuff podcast. We're back. We're here talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day. It is a brand new day. Literally, it's the morning. At least for me here in Ohio, it's probably not the morning.
4:30 in the afternoon for me.
Okay. Well, it's a brand new day for me. You can tell by the eye bags under my eyes. Hopefully, everybody's having a great day and tuning in. And thank you for watching. Let's get started, man. Like Spider-Man Brand New Day. I feel like this is kind of like the cultural poltergeist at the moment. Like my whole algorithm lately has been World Cup stuff. Has lately been, Bradley Barcola Liverpool stuff, and now on my Twitter, even from Liverpool accounts, I'm getting Spider-Man Brand New Day. Like it's taken over the whole world. Like I don't know. Like how's it been on for your end?
Well, I deleted all social media apps off my phone so I didn't get spoilers. So I don't know what it was like the past week or so, but since I've re-downloaded them after I saw it last night, yeah, it's just been filled with Spider-Man on every single app, which I'm not complaining about.
Yeah, dude. Uh, this. I mean, we can get right into it. You know, and just kind of cut right to it. What did you think of the movie, bro? Let's just talk spoilers. Let's just talk everything. I feel like at this point, everybody wants to kind of dive right into the movie. And I saw the movie Thursday right after work at 4:30. I got off at 4, watched the movie at 4:30. So I feel like we kind of live in a culture now and like movies where people watch movies fast to avoid spoilers. So let's just kind of get into
Yeah,
spoilers, man. And
yeah. For anyone listening, there will be no holding back with any spoilers in this episode. So I want to tell you my first thought that I had that I turned to and said to my wife after the movie. I feel like it's the most like authentic Spider-Man depiction we've ever seen on film. I don't know if you agree. I hope you do, but judging by that look, I'm not
yeah,
too
yeah,
sure.
I do.
Uh,
I do.
you
Yeah,
do, okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
It just felt to me like um, it felt very similar to the Insomniac games, which, if you've seen our episodes from a few years ago, we're very big fans of. It also felt kind of like a comic book come to life in a way. And there was some really like classic Spider-Man moments in there, like when he's fighting Scorpion and he's like, "Let's end this on a high note," and throws a piano at him. Like that's just classic Spider-Man, and we haven't. I don't think we've seen enough of that. Certainly not in the MCU. Um, and it felt like they just picked up a run of like storyline from the comics and just put it on the screen. It didn't feel like um, certain MCU films, where they have. Well, obviously they're introducing Jean Grey, but with what Peter's going through in this, it didn't feel like other MCU films where it feels very forced and they're doing certain things just to make sure this character is in a certain point at the end of the film. It just felt like a natural story to tell with him, and it just felt like they'd picked it from the pages of the comics with the other characters that are in it as well. And I think at the episode, we should talk about Jean DeWolf because I know your thoughts and how you feel about her character in the comics at least. So I think we should leave that to the end because there might be spoilers for future films there. Um, because another thing why I feel like it felt so natural is a lot of the times in the MCU, the cameos sometimes don't work. Like, say with Deadpool and Wolverine, I loved that movie when I first saw it. I rewatched it like once or twice, and that movie has like no rewatch value. It's like the cameos are great when you don't know they're coming, but when you know they're coming, they just don't hit at all. But when the supporting characters in this, like Frank Castle, who isn't referred to as Punisher at all in the movie, which I find interesting, and Bruce Banner as well, like they just fit into the story so naturally, and that's what I love about when those characters appear in like all the Spider-Man media, like the way they cross paths, and Black Widow as well. Florence Pugh, that was just really cool seeing that. Um, yeah, they cross paths really naturally, and seeing Peter interact with Hulk, well, with Bruce Banner initially, just talking about science was really interesting because that's not something we've seen on screen before. Peter, as you know, as we all know, is a genius. So getting to see that side of him was really cool. But yeah, all the cameos, if you want to call it that, or the other characters who are crossing over, had a really important part to play, which, as we know, doesn't really happen in the MCU a lot. Sometimes they're just there for fan service. Yeah, that's like that. I'd say that's my initial thoughts, but let's get your initial thoughts as well, because I don't know if we haven't talked about the film yet. This is our first time discussing it, so I don't know what Zan's thoughts are.
I promise I'm not trying to sound different, because a lot of the Spider-Man fans, like on Twitter, have been notorious, like their accounts that I don't want to name, because I'm sure they're like decent people, but you know, and everybody has a right to their opinion, and I'm nearly 30 now, and I don't want to be kind of like a snobby fan when I say this. It felt incomplete to me. There was something missing. I don't know what it is. And now that like I'm listening to you and talking to you about it, I think I can better kind of put it into words. But
okay.
I want to make it clear that this is by far the best MCU Spider-Man movie by far. That's not what I'm saying. I think like, you know, there's some people like who might get that confused. This is by far the best Spider-Man film in the MCU in terms of like the quality, direction, tone, sincerity. It was rather serious too. Like, thank God it didn't have the slapstick MCU humor anymore. I absolutely loved the live action suit moment. You know, like and the John Watts Spider-Man movies, it looked like a video game character, so you were kind of taken out of at least I was, of the movie experience of it, you know?
No, I agree.
There was something different about seeing Spider-Man with suit wrinkles and, you know, his suit being dark in the rain, and there's something about, you know, his sweat kind of accumulating in his lenses, and it just felt very tangible and real. And I think the suit's texture also kind of, you know, carried over into the quality of the story. It felt tangible and real. And so again, by far, this is the best Spider-Man movie in the MCU by far we have ever got. And, you know, sure, you know, some people want to put it above Spider-Man 1. Okay, I don't think that's a crazy take. I don't know if I agree with that or not. I might, actually, because I've only actually seen the movie once. So maybe if I watch it more times,
it might change on rewatch.
It might change, you know? But I think there's something missing for the story. The story did not feel like a Spider-Man story for me. I'm sorry, bro. It didn't. It felt like I'm so sick and tired of Spider-Man being used as a Safari Internet Explorer browser for what the MCU has going on. I'm so tired of that. With the Spider-Man before, it was the Avengers stuff, you know, so put him in Civil War, which I actually liked, and I still like at the time. Also, if you look at the Civil War performance and you look at this Brand New Day performance of Spider-Man, they are 1-to-1. They're the same. So my theory, and our theory that we've talked about a lot, is that Marvel had to kind of regress the Spider-Man character's development from Civil War to Homecoming to kind of prolong the movies and to get more movies out of Tom Holland. That is literally what happened, because how he carried himself in Civil War and how he carried himself in Brand New Day is the exact same. Even how he talks and his accents and everything and how he carries himself, to see Civil War and then to go from Mr. Stark, like, I'm telling you, not to get off.
It seems like in Civil War, it seems like he's already had his origin story, but then he has his origin story over the next 3 movies, because there's a line, isn't there, when he's speaking to Tony, when you can do the things that I do, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, that's on you. And then that seems to have been forgotten by Homecoming.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, I don't really, you know, Uncle Ben is important, sure, but I think he's more important to, like, the Raimi heads, which I admit. Aunt May is just as huge and just as much of an important character to Peter Parker. So to have Aunt May say great power comes great responsibility, I have absolutely no problem with. I have no problem with necessarily existing in the MCU, but I do think we need to have a conversation about what actually happened, which is I think the MCU tried to imply Uncle Ben was in there and then realized halfway through they didn't want to commit to the idea and then dropped it, and so there's just an inconsistency.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You know, I think that's just what it is. And you know, Aunt May is just as huge and just as important of a character, and this movie showed that. And Brand New Day, No Way Home showed that. Even Homecoming showed that. You know, Far From Home made it a joke, but Aunt May is huge and important, so I have no problem with that. But I think for me, it just, I'm so sick and tired of Spider-Man, like I said, being the Internet Explorer for what the MCU has going on. And I think especially this is emblematic because the Avengers movies and the other properties are failing, bro. Me and Bree watched Thunderbolts immediately. You watched Thunderbolts immediately. The first thing Bree said after watching Brand New Day is, okay, I could tell nobody saw Thunderbolts because this is the same thing. This is the same thing. Take away Void, put in his arachnid hormones. Take out Sentry, put in Peter Parker. Take out the abuse and the trauma, put in Green Goblin, Aunt May. Same thing. Take out Void and put in Jean Grey. It is the same damn story, but the reason it works is because nobody saw Thunderbolts. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about it. Nobody saw Thunderbolts.
I hadn't thought of that. I do get what you're saying, but
nobody saw Thunderbolts, bro. Nobody cared, and I'm not trashing Thunderbolts because I love Thunderbolts.
I think Thunderbolts is the best MCU film. Well, between that and Guardians 3 are the best MCU films since Endgame.
And I just love like the literary trope of like, you know, a character starts something and ends something and it looks similar, but it's different. You know, like Yelena, she started the movie closing her eyes out of anxiety and then ended the movie closing her eyes out of like peace. Like I just kind of like that, you know. And I'm losing topic. This is the same movie as Thunderbolts. Exact same. The power of friendship defeated Void. The power of friendship unlocked, here comes the amazing Spider-Man, and you know, spun around like the whole move, like, you know what I mean? Like it's
that move though was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, but here's the thing, in the trailer too, they already spoiled that, and that's another issue that I have with the movie. The whole damn movie was spoiled in the trailers, in the first trailer.
Yeah, they did show too much.
Because Bree and her dad and stuff, they were saying, hey bro, don't keep watching all the trailers. At some point you're gonna get spoiled, this stuff spoiled for you. Okay, fair. Watch the first trailer. The movie still gets spoiled for you. There wasn't art in trailer making, bro. Watch like the old Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy trailers. Watch like the Sam Raimi movie trailers. Actually, no, don't watch the Sam Raimi movie trailers. They were very Disney Channel-esque. Watch Tobey Maguire spin through Spider. Like they were actually kind of advertising. Yeah, but the Christopher Nolan like there was an art to the trailers. Like the Dune trailers have it. The Dune trailers have like.
I feel like the trailers didn't show a lot of Pete, like what Peter goes through in this movie personally. Like they showed a lot of the plot, but Peter's actual struggle in this movie, I don't think they showed a lot of that. But and that for me was one of the highlights.
But yeah, but again, like that struggle was already shown with Yelena and Sentry and half the Thunderbolts. It was shown in Winter Soldier with Bucky, and then it was shown again. Or actually, no, that's a stretch. Not with Bucky, excuse me. You know, that whole lonely element was shown in Thunderbolts with multiple characters, and this whole arc, bro. Sentry lost it, and then the whole New York got voided. Jean Grey lost it, and the whole New York got Loganed. From the Professor X, it's the same thing to the T, even in the same city. So then, as a fan, I'm watching this. Why is a Spider-Man movie? Spider-Man movies to me are once in a lifetime. They're like World Cup events. I want to see till he's 90. I want to make this clear. This movie did clarify that Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man, but I have yet to see Tom Holland, the best Spider-Man, have the best Spider-Man movie. This is not the best movie we could have gotten, bro. I'm sorry.
This is the second best live-action Spider-Man movie.
Maybe third or fourth. Maybe third or fourth, bro. This was just an X-Men setup movie. Why is a Spider-Man movie setting up what the Avengers have in Homecoming and in Far From Home? Why is a Spider-Man movie setting up the mutant saga?
He's the main character of Marvel, and he's the best character that Marvel have got.
Exactly my point, and that is the problem. Spider-Man as a franchise and a story has to suffer because Marvel and the Avengers aren't doing their damn job.
His story didn't suffer. He had a great story in this movie. The whole Ned and MJ and everything with him reuniting with MJ. She kisses him, but then she's being mind controlled, and that both their acting in that movie, in that scene, was insane.
Bro, but
everything Peter goes through is so good.
Bro, but wallahi, bro, ask Bree, bro, wallahi in the theater, I was saying that's on her, bro. Wallahi in the theater, I was not spoiling or anything, bro. As a fan, I was just looking at it like, there's just ain't no way that that's her. It's just too easy. What I was thinking in my head was like, you know, like when, you know, he was choking her and his eyes got black, I thought that's when she would like hop out of her. And now MJ has like Spider-Man's choking the shit out of me moment.
Yeah, no, I thought that might happen as well.
But I get like the whole like kissing her and everything. I was like, bro, like it's heartbreaking. I feel so bad for Peter, but I was like, as a fan, like, how do you not see, or maybe I just watch too much movies, I don't know. How do you not see that you're getting set up? I did not believe it.
Because he's like so emotionally like invested in it, isn't he? Like to him, that's like he hasn't spoken to anyone. He hasn't had friends for 4 years. And then the love of his life is, you know, saying those things to him. His head's not going to be on straight, is it?
Which is why all the more reason he should have expected heartbreak, because the whole story of No Way Home was doing the right thing and it absolutely blowing up in his face. Like he should have expected this. And like maybe I'm jumping all over the whole thing, but like when MJ said, "I'm sorry, you took that agency away from me," what are you talking about? Gwen Stacy said the same thing and she died. Wallahi, she died. She was on that stupid argument. I don't want to like yell because my cats are gonna think like I'm like actually upset, but like she was on that stupid argument telling Andrew, "This is my choice. This is my choice." And then Green Goblin said, "Bet." And Fortnite dropped her down onto the map and she died. That's where your agency gets you. I am so sick and tired of love interest of Spider-Man, because it's not just Peter Parker, it's Miles too. You know, in the comics they write them like this, and I know it's an easy drama trope. It's an easy drama trope to do this. But why do they make love interests try to add stress to the person who saved their life? The only reason they can add stress to their life is because they are alive to do so. So when Mary Jane says, "You took that agency from me, these 5 past days or whatever, these 5 hours, my life has been in danger." Yeah, they've been in danger because Spider-Man has been in your vicinity. The whole reason why he took that agency away from you is because you would be in his vicinity, so he erased you from his memory so that you would be okay. You being in danger is proof that he was right to make his wish. So when you are arguing with him, you are literally arguing just to argue. I'm so sick of doing that. Like, I don't know if I'm ranting for no reason, but like that does not, you are only in this position because Spider-Man saved your ass. And he's not even being creepy about it too. Remember when Andrew was stalking Gwen? He's not even doing that. You know, but I don't know.
But she was in Boston for 4 years, so we couldn't do that.
Fair enough. Okay, I'll give you that.
And as soon as she moves back to New York, he just walks straight into her apartment.
Okay, I'll give you that. And then he called himself Maynard, and you know, like that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. She didn't make any sense, but that's not why the movie did not miss for me. To be clear, these are characters acting human. That was just me as a person talking to Brie, like she's just chatting shit, bro. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? And I think like the movie does imply like they still probably gonna get together, bro. They had a chemistry there. You know what I mean?
They'll probably get together by the end of the 3rd movie.
Yeah, but to wrap up, I've been like ranting. To wrap up,
we're back out.
Missed for me. Sorry, bro. This movie missed for me because I feel like it didn't scratch all of the itches of what a classic Spider-Man movie needs to have. Like, I feel like Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 varying qualities of type of movies that they are. I felt like all of them kind of touched on every kind of quintessential Spider-Man aspect. And while I do now appreciate that this movie truly did something new, no Jackal, no Green Goblin, no Oscorp, like it is just a new story. It does feel very like 90s Spider-Man, very cartoon. Like I appreciate that and I respect that they did something different in that regard because typically as fans we want the same thing over and over and then say, we want something different. Like I appreciate, okay, now looking at it that they did something more, but I don't like that.
I think it was like he's like having a teaching moment because he's been. I think it did a really important thing of showing he's been a kid so far in the MCU, but now he's not a kid anymore. He's Spider-Man. Like he's an adult and he's not the young kid superhero anymore. And Sadie thinks Jean Grey is obviously younger, and he's that older, more experienced Spider-Man now, and he can be that teacher to these younger characters that are coming through.
And going back to that point, I don't know if I necessarily like that dynamic. I understand from a business perspective why they made the decision in the story that they did. But again, when I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking of, oh, this is happening because of this business decision, it takes me out of the movie. And maybe it's a problem of how I think and I just have to learn to stop thinking that way. But I don't know. When I was seeing Jean Grey and how she was moving in this movie, I'm like, this is Martin Lee. You cannot tell me that Mr. Negative wasn't in some version of this version of the script, and then they just switched him out for Jean Grey because
in the early set photos, the demons, like the demon mask thing was on like some of the like tanks and stuff, wasn't it?
Yes, and the hand being reduced to just being cool Knights of Ren. I thought that was
the worth. The hand, I hate that.
Like I thought they were gonna have an actual story. They were just cool henchmen. Like it really was just we haven't seen Spider-Man fight ninjas yet. Let's do that. Like, and again, like people are saying, oh, that was such an awesome action sequence. Was it really? In the trailer, he just did. Here comes the amazing Spider-Man, and he spun around and webbed them all up, bro. Like Shang-Chi had better.
It was the build up to that made it so good in the movie. Like when he's he's struggling.
But
with the arachnid hormones, and then he does that after fully embracing, his mutation. That's what made it so good.
Sure, but the black eyes implied that he's getting more arachnid powers and he's mutating. So when his eyes are normal, does he not have organic webs anymore? Like that didn't make sense. Like maybe
I think when his eyes went normal, it showed that he's in control of that side now, and he's embraced it. That's what I took it to mean.
Okay, so he just has organic webs going forward because I want that. Like he has
the organic webs are so cool.
Okay, all right, cool. So he does have.
It fixed for me a problem with the Tobey movies. Sorry, this is a really nitpicky thing, but in the Tobey movies, he's got this this spandex suit, and there's no holes in the wrists. In this one, he's got a rip in his wrist, so you can see where the web's coming out of. Because Tobey, if he went to do all the web would just get caught up in his glove because there's no hole.
That's a good point.
Sorry, that's just a really specific thing.
Bro, I'm nitpicking. You should be nitpicking. I don't know. I think for me, the classic Spider-Man story is like classic superhero tropes, where it's like, how do you balance Peter Parker and Spider-Man? And while this movie was Peter Parker embracing a brand new day, like mourning the past, like this is a story, like it works. I'm not saying it's a bad story. It wasn't for me then, I guess, because let me explain it. Like, it's a story about the past is the past. You can't necessarily change that, but it's a brand new day, and how you go about it is hopeful. So, for example, like Sarah's cooked. She got VMAXed. That was a brilliant part of the film, might I add. I was like, what the hell is VMAX? Is it something related to Vulture? Is it like Voltorb? Like, is it something to do with, Sentinels? VMAX was the last thing she saw before she died.
Yeah.
That was horrifying. Like, again, and you wouldn't see something that dark in the John Watts movies. So again, like this movie is the best MCU movie that we have gotten, especially for Spider-Man. And I'll give you that it's probably better than 2 out of the 3rd of the Tobey films. I'll give you that. Like, But I think for me, where it kind of missed the mark a little bit is I didn't necessarily see Peter Parker struggle like in terms of how he was being Spider-Man. He was more struggling like emotionally, and he was struggling with his powers. But like, bro, that I'm sorry, we live in this economy. That apartment would be something a lawyer would afford. Like, look at the spacing. If you go and you look at like on Instagram and you look at how they made like walk the whole tour, that is a 6-figure rent. And he has two floors. He
But
has
the guy mentioned like there's asbestos in there and all that, and no one's been in there in years, and so it's a health hazard.
Bro, people in New York City would live in that if they had rats because of how bad the economy is. Like, so I think like that is a corporate studio's understanding of what working class and struggling is, and I feel like it would just hit a lot more if we truly did see Peter, you know, dumpster diving and having taped up tech or something, and that's how he's doing crime, and you could
I do
truly.
agree with that. I would have liked to have seen some part of him either doing some sort of job or creating a bunch of that tech. That is one thing I would have liked to see that they didn't do.
Like, I feel like in the MCU, and the only exception of this is honestly Homecoming. I feel like in the MCU, being a superhero is equivalent to both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Like, that is his main focus of his life. But so much of the Spider-Man media that I saw growing up was like the dichotomy and the balance between Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And I know this movie, like, literally at the end he said, I'm not gonna go about this alone anymore. Like, I'm gonna do it my own way. But I feel like that would have hit a lot more if we actually saw moments of like Peter Parker or Spider-Man kind of being flaky throughout the movie because of his relationships. Like, maybe Spider-Man promised to go to DeWolf's kids' birthday parties and he didn't, not because there was a crime or anything, but because he didn't want to get close. So he just, pissed off his friend because he didn't want to get closer, something like that. Like, if we saw more scenes of him actively choosing not to do that, and pivotal scenes, and not just a montage of a girl saying, hey, I live on the same floor as you, it would hit a lot harder. And I felt like this movie had a lot of like these points that I'm talking about as checklists and not actually artistically implemented and utilized to its full potential. Like, people say Tom Holland quipped and was funny in the movie. Bro, not really, man. He told Lonnie, he told Tombstone, I don't know, you tell me. And then he said hi, no. Like, they're checked in there. They're in there.
They were good. They were good moments.
But it wasn't implemented to its fullest potential, bro. Like, when Jean Grey was moving as crazy as she was, throughout the city, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man would have tried to help, but would have been like, what the hell are you doing? Like, the only reason I did that is because you wanted to act like freaking Green Goblin, you know what I mean? Or he would have been kind of mouthy. Versus this Spider-Man, he was like, forgot the fact that the old man was run over by a bus and is telling Frank don't shoot her because she's looking for her sister. Like, I don't know, I was like, what? Like, it was just kind of hard to sympathize with Jean Grey as a character personally. So when Spider-Man I was like, why? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. And because a lot of Venom was moving like that, Scorpion was moving like that, Mysterio has a similar story like that, Kingpin has a similar story like that, but because it's Jean Grey, we can't shoot her, Frank. Like, to me, this felt like Tom Holland was given a mandate by the studio. Listen, we're gonna have studio interference. That's going to happen. But how it happens, you have influence. So do we go about it Null or Sony? Or do we go about it as Mutant Saga and we really want to establish this? Because right now, the only thing that has eyes in Marvel is Spider-Man. Like I said, nobody watched Thunderbolts. This is the same copy of Thunderbolts. Spider-Man, brand new Thunderbolts. This is the same thing.
I disagree with that. I get it's similar, but I think it's very different as well.
I mean, okay. The difference between Thunderbolts and this movie is Thunderbolts actually had all of its action sequences hidden. Bro, every single action sequence in this movie was spoiled. Every single one. If you look at it from the trailers and the TV spots, this was a worse trailer job than the Taza movies. This was the worst. They spoiled the Frank Castle Hulk Spider-Man shooting thing in a fucking cereal commercial ad. They spoiled
I didn't see that one.
It was on TV, dog. Like I'm not saying like you should have seen it. I'm saying like I was trying my hardest to avoid it, and it was on TV, bro. And I was so mad.
Right.
You got to be kidding me, bro. Like, Every single thing was spoiled. Tom Holland jumping over the whole building and then, flipping off, that was spoiled too. And that's another thing. People said, "Oh, the web swinging in this movie, the web swinging in this movie." There wasn't enough of it. I think
No,
like
it was the best web swinging we've seen since the Tasm movies. But I do wish there was more of it. But that's only because it was so good, what we got of it.
I feel like again, I feel like the Spider-Man elements that make Spider-Man as a character classic and iconic are watered down in Tom Holland's version of the character, and I feel like the stuff that is pushed to its full potential in Tom Holland's Spider-Man are the MCU elements. Like, again, I'm so sick, and I keep saying it, like, why are we pushing mutants in a Spider-Man movie, bro? I know why as a business we're doing it, because nobody's watching anything else. Nobody's watching anything else. So, and it's probably, it probably works out. We have always said we want Spider-Man in other projects. Okay, well, if Spider-Man is integral to other projects showing up in his movies, it's only fair that he shows up in theirs. Okay, maybe it's a you can't have your cake and eat it too situation. Okay, I'll concede that. But again, people said, oh, this movie fixed the MCU connection issues. In a way, I'm glad that they're soft rebooting / forgetting the Stark connection. I like how they acknowledge, hey, we don't like that. But I just don't like how mutants are everywhere. Now, what's going to be in Spider-Man 5, Galactus, because Fantastic Four are probably going to be in it, and what's going to be in Spider-Man 6, Kang the Conqueror is back, I don't know, what's going to be in Spider-Man 7, I'm just, MODOK, Spider-Man 8, Romulus from Wolverine, it's cool that this movie did take the MCU flavor to its fullest potential and tried to make an original story that connected to Peter Parker. But I just feel like that story was an exact copy of Thunderbolt, so to me it was a waste. To me, this movie was not the best we could have got. It was wasted potential.
I agree with you.
I know, man. I know you're gonna hate me on this. I want to watch it more. Maybe
I
when
love that we have different opinions on it because it makes a more interesting conversation.
I don't know. Maybe
I feel like Peter's story and his struggle in this. I feel like they handled it perfectly because we spoke when we were talking about Brand New Day last year. When they were in production, of we don't want him to reunite with MJ straight away. We thought that'd be a bad decision. They did obviously reunite in a way in this movie, but the way they did that was perfect because obviously they had to interact. But the way it happened with her reading the note and then MJ, that was such an MJ thing, was to telling him to take his mask off and saying like what you said, she doesn't love him anymore. You made that decision for me. She was being very MJ about it, and I just feel like it was just such a natural way for it to happen, and they didn't force them to come back together. It didn't feel like, oh, we've got Zendaya in this movie, she has to be in tons of scenes. Do you get me? I feel like it felt right for both characters. I feel like, if that makes sense. By the way, I loved the scene when Ned and Peter were building Lego in the apartment. That was brilliant.
And I think okay, one thing about Brand New Day that I appreciate is it really does talk about how stuff sucks, but you don't have to wallow in despair. Peter at the beginning of the movie was kind of wallowing in his despair. At the end of the movie, he was like, yeah, the past sucks, but positivity out of that is possible, and that's not bad to think about it. And perfect example is MJ saying, I don't love you, bro. I don't even know you. And you took that away from me, which is stupid, but anyway. But the other 2 points is fair. I don't know you, I don't even love you. I'm so glad they didn't take her mask off and there's something she remembers. I'm so glad they were like, no, I don't know you. And that's fair. That's the heartbreaking part of this, the spell. Okay. So I loved how then the next scene after is her going like, well, can you please take me home and come upstairs and say hi to Ned? And then they end up hanging out for 4 more hours after a really difficult conversation, taking
Yeah.
something negative and building something positive out of it. Like, yeah, like the drama and the personal elements and the Peter Parker elements, beautiful. Like, yeah, but I just felt like the Spider-Man stuff could have been stretched to its fullest potential in the way that the Peter stuff was. And duration is not the same as potential. Like maybe it's like nitpicky, but there wasn't enough high sequence web swinging for me. The beginning movie of him taking down the tank, yeah, but there wasn't enough of that. When he's chasing her throughout the city, there should have been some crazy cinematography following her throughout the city, jumping person to person, person to person, getting to MJ instead of just cutting. Like, it was clever how he used EV to figure out the 30 feet thing and then webbed her. Like, that was clever. I'm like, yo, Spider-Man is smart. Like, again, this movie shows that he is Spider-Man. Another thing that I loved was him putting his feet up in the pool with his mask on. Like, this come on with the Spider-Man. He is the best. We need to see 10 more movies of him, but I don't want to see 10 more movies of almost there. I want to see it there. And I just, it's so close, but it's not there for me. It's not there for me. It's not a bad movie, and I hate when people say it's a good movie but a bad Spider-Man movie. No, it's good, but it's not the best movie we could have got. And for the hype it's getting online, I do think it's a little overhyped. I
gave it 5 stars.
Huh?
I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd.
I mean, like, okay. I mean, I would give it I give it a 4. I think a 3.5 is disrespectful. I think that's crazy. I think at that point it becomes a situation of this movie wasn't for me, so I don't like it. No, like, this is objectively a quality film. I am not gonna argue with you on that. I will argue with on The Last Jedi. That's a shit film. I will always argue. This is not that. This is not that. This is clearly a quality film. But I just feel like the Spider-Man elements could have been stretched a lot more to its fullest potential, and I felt like the action could have been a lot more, and I felt like the DNA elements could have been, stretched a lot more, and I felt like this was too much of a setup for MCU films, and I think that's unfortunate for Spider-Man, that Spider-Man as a brand has to suffer because Marvel is not doing their job. Last night I was watching Fantastic Four. A year ago I was kind of hard on the movie. I watched it again. Dog, I was choking up multiple times watching this movie because it's really a story about family and how it positively impacts you. A year ago I wasn't feeling it because of personal shit. Maybe I watch Brand New Day again and I have a brand new day regarding Brand New Day. But as of right now, I'm thinking Brand New Day, but is it really though? Because MJ was gone, but now she's back. Ned was gone, but now he's back. Like, I know
They're not back in the same way. They're not. They still don't have those memories.
So then it's Spider-Man kind of Brand New Day. Also, we're forgetting the reason why Peter did this in the first place, which was because it was dangerous being Spider-Man. So I will appreciate this. Spider-Man has become so competent as a hero to where he can have a personal life and not threaten them because he is that skilled. I do agree that at a point, if you're 10 years into the game and you still don't have a personal life, you just kind of suck as a hero. Like, I do agree that, okay, he's better at the role. He has life. And one thing, Spider-Man Brand New Day did something that was similar to Insomniac's Spider-Man 2, which is that Spider-Man doesn't have to suffer alone. Insomniac Spider-Man 2, you had Miles. You had your brother. And that's one thing I loved about it. So I like how in this one, Spider-Man didn't have to be alone. He could do it alone. In fact, not doing it alone is what, resolved the whole third act and, and everything, sharing May with other people, sharing that positivity. This movie clearly showed, what does friendly neighborhood Spider-Man mean? It shows that. This is what this means. What does friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? Watch Brand New Day. But I just feel like there should have been more web swinging, bro. There should have been more crazy cinematography. There's, like I say, Spider-Man should always feel like a roller coaster visually. This was a roller coaster emotionally, but I felt like the Spider-Man elements, there should have been more of that. There should have been more of a clash between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and I felt like there should have been more of an actual connection with the city. Like, we know that the city loves Peter Parker and they love Spider-Man, right? But you know, like what if like Mr. Delmar was an actual character in this movie and Jean Grey was jumping into people that Peter slash Spider-Man know personally? So now it means more. So now when you have like, you know, a scene at the end where everybody's clapping, it's characters that you have also interacted and seen with throughout the movie, not just randoms. Because Peter has been doing
That's a good
this.
point, actually. Yeah.
Because Peter has been doing this as Spider-Man because it's the right thing to do, and he did it in No Way Home, despite people crapping all over him. J. Jonah Jameson crapping all over him. I have no idea why J. Jonah Jameson wasn't in this movie, but I have a theory it's because of Invincible, in which case I don't blame him. He's getting more of a bag playing Nolan than he probably is J. Jonah Jameson, so I don't blame him for that. But like the lack of, you know, like I thought this movie would capitalize on Spider-Man's name getting muddled. Like at the beginning he's beloved and then his name is kind of getting muddled, only for people at the end to still clapping for him, and it would mean more and it would make sense. He threw Scorpion right into the cop. And it wasn't a situation of Winter Soldier moment where he's blacking out and he's like arachnid. No, he's like amped up like the Hulk. He straight up took Scorpion, slammed him onto that cop, and then he was like, "Who are you?" I was like, whoa, this is how Cody Rhodes should turn heel, by the way. See, he should start getting mad like that, but that's a whole other topic. But, you know, like, I was like, whoa, so he's actually like getting like angry. So the J. Jonah Jameson should have ran a story, Spider-Man concussed a cop, because he did. I mean, it wasn't like that, but he did. Spider-Man attacked an innocent man who didn't do a crime. He did. Scorpion. He did.
Yeah.
He was jumped into, you know? Like, oh, Spider-Man choked out Mary Jane Watson. He did. Imagine if Jean Grey left her brain, and then he did. So I thought that's where the movie would capitalize. Where it's like, oh, like his reputation, like the one thing that he was kind of getting positive out of this was, you know, kind of building up the community, and now that's getting taken away from him on top of his mutations. So for him to accept at the end, I'm Spider-Man no matter what, bro, I'm doing this for the right reasons no matter what, and then for people to still love him at the end, it would mean a lot more. And then that would, for me, it was more like, okay, that's cool, and I like how New York rocks with Spider-Man. But again, a classic trope of that is that his name is getting messed with, and I know they did that in No Way Home. But did we really feel the effects of it? Because most of it was the spell getting affected. He only had two scenes in real time, 2 minutes in real time of us actually as the audience in that with the character in terms of his name being muddled with. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
That's what I feel like about Brand New Day. It works, and you know the message it has, it's beautiful, but because it's not original, and Thunderbolts literally did it to a T, and the Spider-Man elements I felt like could have been stretched way more. I feel like it works. It does its job. It's the best that it could have been given the mandates, but this is not the best movie we could have gotten in general. And a lot of the Spider-Man stuff, I guess, I wanted to see a lot more of, man. I don't know. This didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie to me. This felt like a X-Men movie with Spider-Man.
I feel like it really felt to me like a Spider-Man movie. Obviously, I haven't read as much of the comics as you have. You're like my go-to expert on literally anything Spider-Man. But it felt to me like, maybe this is just because I'm comparing it to the other MCU films, which the first two feel like Disney Channel Spider-Man. I do kind of get what you're saying with the X-Men stuff, because he literally creates a device that can like shut down mutations and powers, which is probably going to be the main plot point of the first X-Men movie, with Tremel Tillman's character maybe as a villain. Because I know, what was his name? William Metzger. I know he's like a huge character in the comics, isn't he? Like anti-mutant kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I do get what you're saying with that. It does feel like they've just done a whole setup for what the entire X-Men thing is going to be about. But isn't that good that they've done it in a Spider-Man movie? Because it shows how important the character is to the entirety of Marvel.
Sure, but I feel like it wasn't really done through a Spider-Man lens. Like when I think of Spider-Man, I think of like crime. I think of like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom and I gotta, change into my suit and jump out the window. I think of, oh, my web shooters are running out of web fluid. Like, why wasn't that a scene where he's running out of fluid and he's falling through the sky and then, I don't, with the organic, like, I don't get it. I don't get why people said, oh, the action was quite good. Why wasn't there enough of that? That was by far the best stunt team. That was by far the best. I loved the scene where he flipped the tank with one hand and then he web swung around the tank, and with that same web he webbed people out of the way. Yeah. Why wasn't there more of that? And more importantly, why wasn't it shot? This is gonna sound crazy, but bear with me. Why wasn't it shot like the Raimi films? Those are the films that understood what Spider-Man is supposed to feel like and look like visually. Forget the tone and stuff, because if you're always going to do what Spider-Man 2 did in terms of story, you're always going to make the same movie. I'm not talking about the movie and what it talked about. I'm talking about what it actually did visually and, cinematically. Why don't they take that as the blueprint, bro? Like, I'm sorry. There was only 1 minute of web swinging in this movie. I know this because all over Twitter, not that I'm advocating for it, the movie's all over Twitter. So yeah, I was watching that a little bit before this, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna pay for my ticket always. And I was looking at the website. Bro, there's only 1 minute of it. There's only 1 minute of it. So that's why I'm like, bro, like I think people are just so happy with how much this movie actually feels compared to the other Spider-Man movies. But when all of that is gone away, let's talk about what we actually got. What we actually got was a really poignant movie that sets up the X-Men. That's what we got. We got a Perks of Wallflower for X-Men. That's what we got.
That's harsh.
Bro, like, I'm not, like, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I watch it and I think for me, because of so much of the action was in the trailers and in everything, a lot of that stuff that would be like, oh, like, I've already seen it before, so I was looking at, oh, what's the new, and I don't know, nothing was there. The Takano Jutsu kind of worked for me at the end, where, like, let's just not talk and, let's just not fight, let's just talk it out. Like, okay, it kind of worked, and it was beautiful, like Aunt May talking to Jean Grey and stuff, but I don't know, like, I think for me, like, the whole lesson of Peter Parker, of it's, I really hope in Spider-Man 5, can we just finally get a Spider-Man movie, like, 2 to a 2, like Peter Parker balancing Spider-Man, crime, has a job, Daily Bugle, and then add on all of this, because this movie did feel like a Spider-Man movie. He did feel like Spider-Man. The story did not feel enough like a Spider-Man movie. This movie had Spider-Man elements that are classic into it, but the story was the one thing that did not feel like a Spider-Man movie, so I was just kind of like...
I'll give you that, but I do feel like the main plot of the movie did feel, like it was a setup, but I feel like Peter's own personal story is so, like, classic Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, he is the Superman of the Marvel Universe. He has that effect. He does. Like, yeah. Looking out for the little guy. He literally did that in Homecoming. He literally did that in No Way Home. Like, and he did that in this one. And one perspective, I'm actually going to read this text to you guys, because I texted it to Bree and I couldn't say it any better than I could now. So I'm just going to read this because this is how I felt about the movie. So, like, the movie of Brand New Day, the story of Brand New Day was pretty much Peter recognizing that Jean went through a similar No Way Home situation with losing Sarah / Aunt May. So he walked her through the darkness and helped her since he got through it, and he doesn't want her going through it alone. It shows the effect of literally a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It shows his positive impact on the community, but it's missing something for me. I don't know. Maybe if he actually had scenes with the community, like he had scenes with MJ and Ned, like, hey, I'm helping this kid with homework, and he's doing that multiple times throughout the movie, like...
Maybe if they'd done something like the, in TASM 2, which, by the way, on rewatch, I kind of love that movie.
Okay.
But that's for another time. When the little kid is getting bullied and his windmill breaks and he webs it up and like walks him to school, like maybe 1 or 2 scenes of that would have done that for you.
Yeah. I just felt like for a long time with the MCU, I felt like Tom Holland's Spider-Man felt like a guy with spider powers, but he didn't feel like Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man wasn't Spider-Man until he learned those messages. With great power comes great responsibility and stuff.
I do think this is the most he's felt like Spider-Man.
Yeah, 100%. And ironically, the scene that sold it for me was the pool scene. That was the scene where it was like Spider-Man.
When he had just the mask on and his underwear, like...
That was class. That was like, yep.
Yeah.
That's what sold me. I'm like, yep. We need to see 12 more movies, bro. I'm sorry, Tom Holland. I'm on the corporate side with this one, bro. You're not getting another job. You're being Spider-Man. Like, bro, like he is Spider-Man. Like, I don't want people to think like when I'm saying, yo, the Tobey movies, like, I feel like they just dived into the personal element way more versus this movie ties into the personal element in regards to a superhero lens. I don't know if that makes sense, but it probably does not.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but he's been at this point in this film. He's been only Spider-Man for 4 years. He hasn't been Peter. Like Peter Parker hasn't existed for 4 years, and no one knows who Peter Parker is.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
go on.
But I was saying he hasn't been Peter Parker because of the effect of how it can harm the people he loves, right? So this movie pretty much shows that can still happen, but you can go about it in another way. It doesn't have to always be gloom and doom. So in a way, this also does kind of push Spider-Man media forward, because for such a long time it's been so much I have to keep you separate, and this movie is kind of saying, no, you can still build something forward. You just need to have a conversation. I mean, it works, but there's that Spider-Man adrenaline itch that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's a Spider-Man adrenaline itch that needs to be scratched. The Peter Parker one was scratched. Okay, there's that Spider-Man one that needs to be scratched. It hasn't been. I don't know.
They might do that in the next one, because this one's about him rediscovering who Peter Parker is. And now he's got the perfect balance of being Peter Parker and Spider-Man. We'll get that in the future.
I think what the Spider-Man movies that work for me is always, they live in New York. The hero and the villain always live it. So Peter Parker and whoever the main villain, they're living in New York. These are the stories that always resonate with me. They live in New York. There's something happening in the city, some event, some sort of an environmental or time-based situation that is affecting the heroes the same ways, but in very different ways. That makes one of them sympathetic and one of them villainous, or vice versa. So in Spider-Man 2, it was cancer. In Spider-Man 1, it was feast. Whatever it is. Do you understand what I mean? Like talking about the games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it shows the characters, both the hero and the villain, going about that same situation in very different ways, and the movie kind of amplifying the stories and the path of those two through very poignant manners. Those to me are the best Spider-Man stories. Those to me are... So Peter... Like, I felt like Peter didn't really have a driving agency in this movie that was personal. But this movie has talked a lot about him discovering it's important to be Peter Parker. But if you really think about it, a lot of his agency was still Spider-Man based. I have to make sure Gina's okay. I have to make sure, the city's... But yet this is about it's okay to be Peter Parker. But then again, he did kind of get... Maybe Spider-Man is his comfort zone. Maybe he was comfortable talking first as Spider-Man, and towards the end, Brand New Day, I have to be comfortable with myself. Now I'm talking to him as Peter Parker. So maybe Spider-Man is like a crutch for him, but he has to learn to kind of... It's okay to be out of the suit, too. I don't know, there's like a classic... You know what I mean? Like the classic Spider-Man feel? I kind of want that in Spider-Man 5 and 6. Not a Tobey feel, that's not what I mean. Tobey's different, that's not classic. Like, I want like a scene where like Peter is at dinner with MJ and there's like a bank robbery. I gotta go, boom, and that's like like the classic. Like you know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
felt new and different, but it kind of leaves like a Spider-Man scratch left to be itched. I
Let
just
me ask you this then, because we're coming up to an hour now, and I want to end on this specific conversation. That as soon as the name was mentioned in the movie, I thought of you. I'll put the link to the episode where we discuss where you discussed Jean DeWolf in the description. But so I can't remember her name, the actress from The Bear, but we all thought she was playing Rio Morales.
yeah,
I'm sure we talked about that on the podcast. We were like, yeah, she's Rio Morales. That's how they're going to introduce Miles. I've got a lot written down here because I wanted to speak about this with you. How did you feel when you heard her name mentioned? And as someone who knows a lot about that storyline from the comics, if you don't want potential spoils for future movies, turn off now. By the way, because the storyline's called "The Death of Jean DeWolf."
yeah. So she's she
So
bro.
do you think that's something they could do in the next movie, or do they need more setup for that?
If Spider-Man is getting the black suit and Secret Wars or Doomsday symbiote black suit, it's not looking good for Jean DeWolf because in the Death of DeWolf,
He has the black suit in that storyline, doesn't
yeah, yeah. But I'm pretty sure in the Death of Jean DeWolf, the comic book, I'm pretty sure it's just a cloth suit.
he? Yeah, 'cause it doesn't Black Cat makes him a cloth
Yeah,
one, but,
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But he's still very like he's got the effects of the symbiote. He's still very angry, and it's a darker Spider-Man
Peter's
is.
very dramatic in the comics, bro. So like, when he's in mood, he's gonna put on the black suit. His mental state is very much amplified by what he's wearing. So he still has the black suit. He's still in an angry state of mind, is what I'm saying. So it depends. I think so. In the Death of Jean DeWolf, there's a serial killer named the Sin Eater, who's he's also a cop. He's on the NYPD force. He goes around murdering people who he feels like have committed sin, and by murdering them, he's purging the city of sin. He kills Jean DeWolf. She's the first person to be murdered in the story arc. And it's actually a really good story arc. You guys should definitely read it. Rest in peace, Peter David, because he's the one who wrote the story. The story opens up with a flashback, and you realize those are Jean DeWolf's last moments as she's dying. And that's how it opens up. It's very dark. So Spider-Man is trying to chase down who killed Jean DeWolf. Daredevil gets involved. Spider-Man and him have a scuffle, so maybe Daredevil is in, Spider-Man 5. I don't really know what they do, but I think for the death of Jean DeWolf can only really happen in Spider-Man 6, because there wasn't enough of her in Spider-Man 4 for her death to hit as hard to justify such a character tonal shift in Spider-Man. Because for Death of Jean DeWolf is essentially saying, forget all of Brand New Day, forget all of that. That's essentially what it's saying temporarily, because this murder is so shocking that Peter's like, I have to solve this. If I am to respect Jean DeWolf, I have to kind of put self-care on the back burner for a bit. She was my friend, you know what I mean? Like, just for a bit, So I think in Spider-Man 5, you kind of have, your gang war, whatever, your classic Spider-Man. The classic Spider-Man that I've been wanting. The gang war, New York street element, and fully diving into... I want New York Spider-Man to fully dive into the street stuff, not just montage through it and then go back to the greater MCU stuff. That's my biggest issue with these movies, if that makes sense. But I want them to dive, and focus solely on that, on like Tombstone, all of that type of stuff. And then... in the comics, she wasn't corrupt. I think the death of her tragedy, if I'm not mistaken, because I have it, it's just been a while since I've read it. The death of her tragedy is so tragic as Sin Eater made a mistake. He thought she was like corrupt, and she wasn't. So he killed somebody for no reason. And this made Peter absolutely lose his control and nearly beat him to death. And then Daredevil had to stop him. So that could be, imagine that's something in the movie where you think as a character you've built up Jean DeWolf as this lovable character for two movies, and then in Spider-Man 6 opening sequence she's dead, and you see like, oh, she might be corrupt. This person that we've loved for so long, she might be corrupt. Who do we actually believe, Only for it to find out, no, she was innocent and he was just a fucking idiot. And then your rage would come out too. You know?
Yeah.
And and that was the arc and death of Gene DeWolf. It is one of the greatest Spider-Man stories ever. Spider-Man is really pushed to this limit. He has taken informants like rats to the bar of no name and sitting there, webbed to his feet and like, all right, I'm getting out of here if you don't tell me where, you know, this murderer is, knowing that he's gonna get jumped in that bar, you know? So this is Spider-Man at his absolute most ruthless, but still the friendly neighborhood, like to protect his neighborhood. Now he's willing to do that type of stuff, and I don't think you can do that in Spider-Man 5. I think that's way too soon. Maybe if DeWolf was in No Way Home and then she was in, you know, Brand New Day, but I just think it's way too soon. Or maybe you open up Spider-Man 6 with a shock ending in Spider-Man 5, like the last scene in Spider-Man 5 is her murder. And then
Yeah, that'd probably make sense, because if the whole of Spider-Man 6 is that storyline, then what do you do with the trailers? Because if you want her death to be shocking at the beginning of that movie, what can you show from the movie and the trailers and not spoil that death? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think that'd make sense to have it at the ending of that of the fifth one.
but again, it also depends on how dark they want to go, because another disappointment I had with this movie is that they did not do Man Spider, and I just felt like it just made sense.
Do you remember the 90s cartoon?
It just made sense.
I love that.
I hate this whole, it would freak out the kids. It depends on how you go about Man Spider. You don't have to have his skin rip apart like the Fly. All you have to do is have a web cocoon and just have a bunch of flashing lights from inside the cocoon and out bursts Man Spider. You don't have to show the grotesque body transformations. Like, you know, if you don't have to. Like, I thought that's where they were going with that. Like, if you wanted to really have an acceptance moment, where Peter really accepts that this is who he is, and I'm Peter Parker, I'm Spider-Man, I'm both. Maybe the Hand is overwhelming him and are freeing other villains. That's another gripe I have with the movie, by the way. They drove that tank into the, you know, DODC, and then it blew up, and it freed none of Spider-Man's villains. Like, what?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And they hinted at that. You know, I thought we were gonna. Anyway, maybe that's a nitpick, but I thought, what was I originally talking about? I don't even know.
We go off on tangents there.
Yeah, bro. Oh, yeah, talking about the Man Spider. Right, like, I thought, like, that was the whole point, is him accepting who he is no matter what, even if it's scary. So maybe Peter just accepts he's Spider-Man, webs himself up in a web cocoon and outbursts Man Spider, and now he's fighting the Hand, and it's horrifying or something like that. And then, I don't know, he, like, collapses or something, and then his body skin, like, falls off like a spider, and out comes Peter Parker again, like in the comic books, like, you know, and now he has his organic webs, and, you know, and now he's fully arachnid, fully human. He has organic webs and heightened senses, but his eyes aren't freaking out or whatever, you know. I don't know, like, and that would have been meaningful, because it would be scary to accept who you are on the verge of transforming into a monster, and Spider-Man does it, and that hope carries him through. Like, for him to kind of be like, I'm both, and then split the sword in half and do literally nothing different than what they showed in the trailers, and just do, here comes the Amazing Spider-Man, like, which is awesome. It's great, but we saw it already. So and Spider-Man movies are so bad at trailers, bro. All I'm gonna watch for Spider-Man 5 is the teaser trailer, and that's it.
I'm gonna try and completely avoid the trailers for it.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do for Spider-Man 5. There is a tangent that it's going off of what's going on in the MCU. So I really hope they have, like, gangs and mafia and whatever in the MCU. That way we can finally get a Gang War Spider-Man movie. But yeah, to me, I would give this movie like a B.
Okay. What one thing we haven't spoke about, the post-credit scene, or not, it's not even really seen, the post-credit tease thing. Do you think that's got to be, like, showing that he's going to be on Battle World in either Secret Wars or Doomsday, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some people are saying which Spider-Man is. I think that clearly shows that's Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know,
People just want to, they just love to
I'm
have some
calling this right
multiverse
now, bro.
shenanigans,
I
don't
think at the end of Doomsday, everybody's going to die, but Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man are going to be one of the few that survive, and they're going to be the few that remember. I'm calling it right now. The only reason I'm saying that is from a business perspective. They're the three biggest characters outside of what they have from the MCU. So for them to be the last resistance, it just makes sense business-wise. Like, yeah, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, you have to, because the biggest rumor in Avengers Doomsday is what? That Wolverine blows up Tobey Maguire's universe or something. Well, what if they both survive that somehow? And it doesn't make sense, but none of this makes sense, you know? But whatever. So maybe they survive, the Tom Holland universe survives or something. Tom Holland survives it. I think for sure he's getting the black suit in Doomsday. He's got to.
Yeah, well, in the comics, he got it in Secret Wars, didn't he? So it makes sense for it to happen in this story.
Yeah, so I think that's what they're gonna do 100%. I don't have any doubt about that. And again, this movie, I want to be clear. Just this, I will admit, a part of my unsatisfaction with the movie is it did not do 100% what I wanted for it to. That is not a legitimate criticism. What this movie was trying to do, it did fantastic. I just think like Spider-Man 2 hit themes that are very relatable still, like financial issues, being lonely, not that I have romantic issues, but if I had that, that would be tough to go through, like that type of stuff like would be, to me, it is still sincere and tangible, just like Brand New Day is. Brand New Day kind of scratches that cartoon episode feeling. Which is still awesome. That's what I want, and I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. He is 100%.
Absolutely.
But I just think, I don't know if I make sense when I say I just kind of wish there was the Spider-Man elements of this film were more played out. Like the romantic relationship, Peter Parker related elements, yes, but the other stuff was just montage through. I wanted that actually a big part of the movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So if I were to rank the Spider-Man films, I'd still live action. I'd give Spider-Man 2. I'd say Spider-Man 2. I'd say it's tough. Okay, Spider-Man 2, Brand New Day. Oh, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, Brand New Day. Go on, you.
How about I'm gonna watch this movie again.
Okay.
Because I have a feeling of, I remember when I watched the Avengers the first time, and I had the same feeling. And over time, it just never got better, and then it got vindicated. People were like, "We hated Joss Whedon," so whatever. But I think like I have to watch this movie again. Maybe I just don't appreciate it, or I don't know. I have to watch it again. But I think I feel unsatisfied, not unfulfilled, because that's more negative. I feel unsatisfied.
I think I get that because it's a lot to the whole introduction of Jean Grey and everything they're setting up there is that takes up a lot of the movie, and maybe the Spider-Man elements do take a hit for that to happen, but everything that Peter does to not defeat but to help Jean in this movie, I feel like is exactly what Spider-Man's all about.
Yes. So then I guess a better way, it's an MCU X-Men movie with the major Spider-Man influence.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. But one thing I want to close out with: are you excited for X-Men now?
I'm not gonna lie. After this movie, I get why people are pro mutant registration. After this movie, I get why people are pro mutant registration, because when people say it's an allegory for racism, I now realize that's a bullshit argument, because different ethnicities aren't dangerous, bro. They're not. But if you are born as a mutant and you sneeze the wrong way, you can kill people. If you are a mutant and you got Scott, like, bro, I love Scott.
Oh, you're gonna have people coming for you.
Yeah, bro, what? Reed Richards is on my side, okay? Reed said the same thing. And the Krakoa Fantastic Four, and Reed was justified because he said, mutants we love, the X-Men are culty. Like, that's different. Like, I don't have a problem with mutants, but mutants can be dangerous. That doesn't mean they have to be rounded up. That's right where people are gonna think like, oh, I'm saying pro Sentinel. No. I'm just saying I want to know who's a dangerous mutant. If you're a mutant but like you just have green skin, like no, like okay, I feel bad for you, okay? But like if you're a mutant and you sneeze and when you sneeze it's fucking ammonia, I would like to know you're a mutant, please. I think that's fair to say. You know, and like now and especially because here's another thing too, bro. Jean Grey was acting exactly like Green Goblin. Wallahi, exactly like Green Goblin. Green Goblin did SA in the comics. What was that?
Yeah.
On the rooftop. Hey, shout out Spider-Man, by the way, for being a good example for kids.
Yeah, it kind of... Yeah, go on.
No, I'm saying like because obsession, because Bear would have kept kissing MJ. I like how Spider-Man was like, hey, bro, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not guilting myself. Clearly, I didn't know, but I want you to know this is what happened, you know? Like, I kissed you without...
She was essentially... Both of them were kind of, you know, assaulted in that scene.
Yes. And then he got bullet assaulted, too. Over her. Like, I feel for Jean Grey, but, like, if I was Spider-Man, I would have her take a bullet, but, like, in a non-lethal area. Like, you're gonna take it in the ankle, bro. You're not walking. You're not walking, bro. You're taking it in the ankle, man. And then we can go to the hospital, bro, because that's BS. You ran an innocent dude over, and you want me to care about... Would Sarah be happy about that? You VMAX'd an innocent man, and then you're crying about VMAX. That's the dichotomy. And I feel like Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man media that I grew up on, he was a bit more confident. He was a bit more Ben 10-y and Sonic-y. He would talk a bit more trash. I feel like Spider-Man in this one was a bit more like, Gene, I was so wrong. Spider-Man, you were wrong because you didn't know, not because you had an anti-mutant bias. What? It's not like Spider-Man was like, yo, bro, Metzger, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I do really hate those muties too, man. Like, you know, Uncle Ben always did say, you know, I think the guy who shot me was a mutant, you know, so, yeah, like, you know, he told, you know, Aunt May, you know, she never told me Norman Osborn's great-grandfather, he was a mutant, you know, so, like, I don't really mess with mutants either, but, like, no, like, what? Like, it didn't make any sense, so, this movie, to a perfectly reasonable person, would go like, bro, I'm not saying round them all up and in concentration camps, hell no. And I do understand my argument will always result to that. Me saying, hey, we should probably have a tab on who's a mutant will always be exploited. I understand that. So maybe I just have to eat it. But I'm just saying, literally, mutants are dangerous. And I don't think that's racist or ignorant to say they are. They are dangerous. They are dangerous. They are. Now, the real argument is, are they any more dangerous than like Hulk or Spider-Man? And that's where you can get into the double standards and the bigotry that mutants, because that's a real question. Because Spider-Man acted like an out-of-control mutant too. That's a real question. But I do think, bro, if me and Bree had kids or something, and I'm like, oh, and I'm holding him, and then a mutant Wolverine claw pops me in the eye, yeah, I'm gonna be pissed. Like that's reasonable to say, bro. This movie, and bro, before this, I was so pro-mutant, bro. Maybe it's my love for Spider-Man and how much I hated how Jean was torturing. Because all Jean had to do was come to him and be like, hey, you're the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm going to try to talk to you. And if you're still on this energy, then screw you. You know? But why is she...
When has Jean Grey ever been known to, like, you know, use common sense and not just use her powers to hurt people?
I'm not going to lie. I don't know anything about Jean Grey, so I'll take your word on that. I don't know anything. A lot of people are saying, like, she
knows the movies, to be fair.
Yeah, and she ate a solar system or something as the Phoenix Force. I mean, that's a lot of lives lost, but like I think you know, like
Just a few.
yeah, right. I don't know. I think I just had a hard time like I could sympathize with Vulture way more. And ironically, like this is a way better movie than Homecoming by far. But I feel like Spider-Man Homecoming nailed the Spider-Man elements better than this one did.
Is that not just because he's younger and he's happy and he's not been through anything yet?
No, because I think Spider-Man 1 nails those elements better than Homecoming. Like, so that's how I feel like the Raimi movies get it the best, but I do truly feel like Toby is carried. I don't, like, I love Toby, but I gotta admit, bro, like, Tom Holland, he's incredible. Like, I do feel like he's carried. So, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know. We can talk about this forever. We're probably going to talk about it forever. We're going to be talking about it forever.
Yeah, this won't be the only time we talk about this movie.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of Spider-Man episodes. But yeah, I would say, for me, it was good. It was solid. It's a step in the right direction. And I don't want Sony executives to look at this if they are. I don't want them to look at this and see, this is why we should have done Venom. And no, because that's not what I wanted either. I wanted this. I just wanted more Spider-Man elements, you know? And I feel like the Sam Raimi movies talk about those personal, deep, emotional themes just as much as this one does without sacrificing some of those Spider-Man elements. I think this movie kind of does that, but because people will say that he's in the suit 95% of the time, therefore that, you know, is the same, and it's not what you are doing, how long you're in the suit, it's what you're doing with it. And I don't know, just this is a step in the right direction. He should be the director for these movies going forward. Maybe Daniel Desecret wanted to do these stuff and Tom Holland wanted to do these stuff and studio was saying no, not yet, you know, see how this goes.
Yeah,
maybe, you know, but
well, it's obviously done well, hasn't it? It's the second biggest worldwide box office opening ever. I think it's the biggest US domestic box office opening ever. So if they let them have more control in the next movie, you know, I think they've earned that.
So let me ask you this real quick, because I know we got to go, but I got to ask you this: is this bad for Marvel and Disney that Spider-Man is essentially bigger than Avengers and is bigger than the overall story they're trying to tell?
Question. I don't know if it's bad for them because it's always been like that. They've, like, even in the comics, like since the 60s, they've always had to deal with Spider-Man being the biggest IP. I'll need time to think about that question. I think it's good because if Spider-Man is gonna be in an Avengers movie, you know, obviously you don't need people. You don't need any more reasons to see an Avengers movie. People are gonna turn out for that anyway. But like I spoke to my nephew about the Avengers Doomsday trailer, and he said it was okay. Spider-Man wasn't in it. You know what I mean? Like, even though Avengers movies are gonna do well, they'll do even better if Spider-Man's a big part of it. So I think it's maybe a good thing because they can, if they can make Spider-Man a main part of those big team up movies, which, you know, I hope he is, because more Spider-Man is great. You know, can never get enough Spider-Man. I think it's good for them, but that's up to how they handle the success of it. Do you know what I mean? They can make it a good thing for them.
I think you nailed it on the head. I just, because Spider-Man is the biggest IP, rather than taking that as an opportunity to make the Spider-Man stories and the Spider-Man elements as huge and as popular as they can, they're using the Spider-Man IP and spotlight to amplify the MCU stuff as much as they can. And while that might work, I just feel like Spider-Man and his uniqueness and his part of literature and his story elements, they're kind of being sacrificed. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like a Spider-Man purist or anything, and you know, I'm not a toxic fan. You know, everybody is just as much of a Spider-Man fan. It doesn't matter how much you read the comics or whatever. You know, if you like the character, you're a fan. It doesn't matter. So, You know, I'm just talking like I don't want to have an effect or ever try to amplify what Star Wars theory did with Star Wars. That's not what I'm trying to do. So,
Yeah.
even
Don't
as,
worry, you're nothing like him.
yeah, like even like as much as I don't like the Tazza movies, I mean, bro, like if I people like them, bro, like I'm not gonna try to take that home, but I think hopefully now we can now that we have established that he can have a life of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and they did it in a poignant way, throw some drama and tension in there for Spider-Man 5. Maybe that's the scratch that I want, we're gonna have Miles. We're gonna be talking about Miles, because Tom Holland said he knows exactly when Miles is gonna be in the MCU. Can't wait to talk about that. We're talking about potentially, he said how the video game did the black suit perfectly. That's what I said. That's what we both said. I did perfectly, and he doesn't know how the movie can do it any differently or better without it being repetitive. So the future of Spider-Man is very, very bright. Tom Holland truly is the king of this kingdom, bro. So whatever he wants, they need to throw the bag at him and give it to him, because he doesn't need this, they need him. So
yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, last thing I'll say, I'll watch Brand New Day over and over and over again because of Tom Holland's performance as Spider-Man, not necessarily for the story. I felt like the story should have been more of a Spider-Man story. I needed that. But it did give us the strongest performance with Spider-Man, and it did give us some of the best action sequences, and, might I add, that's the best suit we've ever got.
Oh, it's so good. It's like the perfect combination of all three Spider-Man suits.
Yeah, perfect. And I love how they did not touch it up to get rid of the wrinkles, bro.
And it looks great on a popcorn bucket.
Yeah. I need that.
That'll go in the thumbnail.
I need that. Which theater is that? Which one was that on? Or is that just...
This was from Odeon, so I think that's Odeon in the UK, so I think that's AMC in America.
Damn, man, we went to AMC. They must have just have been sold out. Oh. Okay, yeah, see. I need that. Yeah, maybe as I watch this movie more and more, it might grow on me. Yeah, maybe as I watch this movie more and more, it might grow on.
Speaking of movies that have, opinions changing over time on movies, this would be a funny note to end on. I rewatched Thor Ragnarok the other day. I don't like that movie.
Finally, I have been
it ruins Thor's character.
Bro, I hate the silly Thor crap. I hate the silly Thor crap. I hate it so much.
He loses his hammer and his dad, like in the span of about 5 minutes, and then he suddenly turns into this really happy, stupid, funny character. And I get people, deal with grief in different ways and that, but come on. It's like not, you wouldn't, if you start Thor Ragnarok from when he arrives on, what is it called, Sakaar? That planet?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
If you start the movie from that point, and you said, "Oh, guess what happened in like the last 5 minutes before that?" You would not have said, "His dad dies and he loses Mjolnir."
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the best version of Thor we've ever gotten is in Infinity War.
Yeah.
I rewatched Infinity War the other night, and that Thor is brilliant. He's actually grieving for the loss of half of Asgard and for everything that he's been through in this. He's had that week that Thor has is arguably the worst week any MCU character has ever had. He loses his dad, his hammer, and half his people, and his brother, and his best mate, Idris Elba, Heimdall.
Oh yeah.
Forgot his name for a sec. So, yeah, I don't know how we got to that, but.
Hey, bro. I mean, hey, I watched Fantastic Four, and I know last year I said it was all right. Now I watch it, and I'm like, no, it's beautiful. It's fantastic.
Is your thoughts on the ending changed? I know when we spoke about it, we loved the movie, but we weren't too hot on the ending.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Also, because Galactus was also really shocked. I think that's what sold it. Like, I was watching it with Brie and her dad last night, and he was like, yo, Galactus actually took off the shades of his, like, helmet to look audacity, like, I'm actually getting betrayed here. That sold it. I was like, okay, that if the Devourer of Worlds did not see this coming, this is a good change then. Like this is a good like, and it actually impacts it. Johnny Storm's scene of unlocking the languages, and then
So cool.
all of the other planets, and he was like, "This is whatever." Like the Fantastic Four, and Brie was saying this. And keep in mind, she's not a Marvel fan at all, bro. I mean, she doesn't hate on them, but she's more of Game of Thrones. Like, she likes the Batman. She didn't like Superman. She thought Superman was terrible. But she said this is Superman, but good. She was like, if Superman was good, it would be Brand New Day. She was like, Brand New Day is what Superman was trying to do. She was like, because Superman was kind of corny with saving the day, but Spider-Man, you actually felt like the realistic inner turmoil. I was like, okay, all right, you just don't like Superman. But it's okay. But but she loved she's more high on Brand New Day than me. Like she was like Brie thinks it's the best Spider-Man movie ever. Like she thought it was awesome.
I think it's close.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we all universally agreed this is by far like an incredible film, one of the best of the year, best of the like I love it. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know where we got on.
I think that's a good point to end it on there. I think obviously we'll be talking about this film more as we rewatch it. I think
probably have a series about it.
Yeah. I think we should maybe do a video where we like once we've seen it a few more times where we do a sort of joint ranking of Spider-Man movies, something like that, possibly.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
I also think obviously we haven't recorded in a while. We said this last time, but we're gonna stick to this now.
Yeah, because also the algorithm and everything is like, I don't know, a lot. If you saw Oli, a lot of people have been reviewing our old videos. So that old Batman, like the yelling view, that got like 2,000 more views. Like, I don't know, like the algorithm is like rewarding us for it.
Right.
So it's like
let's hop on that then.
Yeah.
I know we were gonna try and do like a weekly MCU rewatch review thing, but then I was violently ill when I came back from China the first week that was going to happen, so that just ended up not getting off the ground. But we're back. Spider-Man is back, and we are back.
It's a brand new day.
It's a brand new day for the Nuff Said podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
Next episode, should we discuss the Doomsday trailer? Because
honestly, I feel like next episode is going to be like a hodgepodge. I feel like we're going to be talking about everything. We for sure got to talk about Ghost Rider, and we got to talk about Blade. Because I don't know if you saw it this morning. Like, Mahershala Ali confirmed he lost like millions because he was he was contracted by Marvel, so he lost like opportunities to do other films. And then boom, like
he signed to Marvel right after he won the Oscar as well.
Mm-hmm.
So those would have been big opportunities that he turned down.
But real quick, a lot of people were saying he wanted like a slavery era Blade movie, and like that could work. But if this was around the time of Sinners and Ryan Coogler is making Sinners and he wanted to do a Blade, I could totally see Disney going like, we're not trying to upset one of our biggest directors by making a competing piece with original product.
Yeah.
We just can't do it. So maybe Mahershala Ali was like screwed by just like industry. Like I don't know. Like
that would have been good, but also it wouldn't. How would that fit with like the rest of the MCU?
It's like vampires in Marvel. Like I'm not gonna lie, bro. I don't know shit about Blade. I don't know anything about him. All I know is
I've never seen the Blade movies.
What, bro? Okay, that's what you got to do. You got to watch one of the Blade movies because they're actually really good. The Blade movies are good, but the Blade comic books, they're nothing. Well, first of all, there's not a lot of them, and Blade has like he's like British in the comics, and he's very like Castlevania-esque, but in the movies, he's like, are you out of your motherfucking mind? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he has the Wesley Snipes iteration of him, and so it's.
He's I didn't know it. He's British in the comics, but he's like American actor in the films.
He's a British elegant vampire hunter. He's like, hello, madam. Do you have?
So why are people getting upset about a British actor playing Black Panther?
Okay, you. And okay. So real quick, I feel like I keep saying real quick, and then we keep. But hey, this is good content. You know, we can cut it and make this other episode. So do you know? Are you know Cynthia Rivio and like how she was getting backlash for like looking like I mean like the Hulk with Ariana Grande and like you know like, I'm not trying to say that because we're not co-signing that, but you remember those memes and stuff like that. It was also motivated because she was talking really disrespectfully on like Black Americans here. So she said like Black Americans here don't have culture, like she's Nigerian or something. So she was saying like, you know, we've got culture over there, they don't really got culture, you know. So there was like some backlash from like people here where it's like, okay, well screw you, even if it's racist, like we don't care, you know. But I think also with with the Cynthia Arivio, also where was she did something? Well, oh, with the black, a lot of black actors from British or whatever. I don't know if it's like media or if it's doctored or whatever. There's always some sort of media story or something that comes out where they shit on Black Americans here or they shit on like black plight here. Like Idris Elba said something about like you know it's justified to have an all white James Bond. We don't need to make everything woke, like stuff like that. So like a lot of like haters, to be clear, because the best actor should always get the job. No, I'm not justifying people here. I'm just explaining it. A lot of the haters here are like, those British pricks don't even have our shared history. They just have our skin color, but they don't have our history. They don't have anything, and then they're taking our roles. But here's the thing: the best actor in the best work always gets the role. So if Idris Elba acts better than, I don't know, whoever American actor is, even if it's an American or British role, I'm sorry, the best actor gets it. I'm sorry, that's just how it works. So I truly think it's a situation of sour grapes with some legitimate backlash of ignorant comment reaction, if that makes sense. But majority is sour grapes. They got the role. That's what it is. And British actors, and even American people on TikTok, they say this like the British education system and like you know like the theater system is way better than what we have here. So that's naturally going to come out.
I think that's a conversation we could expand upon a lot more that we maybe don't have time for today, but I think an episode discussing that would be interesting. Obviously, my opinion doesn't really matter because I'm a white man.
My opinion doesn't matter because I'm not a black guy. We should get that's what we should get Brie and her dad on because they would love
yeah
they could
yeah.
And I feel like the people would love Bree's dad because he has a way of just saying,
he if he had any sort of online presence, he'd be like huge. I love that man.
yeah, we should get him on an episode about like Blade and that conversation actually because like
Yeah.
Black Panther 3 we didn't even talk about that. Oh, and I
Ghost
promise
Rider, and there's so much to talk about.
this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and then we're gonna cut it. They confirmed that Storm is going to be in Black Panther 3.
Did they?
Yeah, all the reports, everything. Black Panther.
Is it gonna be from Sinners and Batman? What's her name?
Jamie Lawson. We don't know. We don't know anything. We don't even know
I think it should be.
anything. We don't know anything. All we know is like mutants in Wakanda. They said the report is the similar effect that it was in Brand New Day is going to be in Black Panther 3. It's going to be very mutant centric. So, bro, that's Storm. That's Storm.
So, I've just had a bit of a brainwave. Okay, I know this episode just keeps on going, but I love it. You can tell we've not done this in a while. We're getting so excited about it. So the way like phase, you know, 1 of the MCU and phase 2 of the MCU, whatever, is all building up towards the Avengers films and that. With the X-Men seemingly having a part now in a lot of MCU solo movies, do you think in the next era of the MCU after Secret Wars, the big sort of ensemble movies aren't going to be Avengers, they're going to be X-Men?
Yes.
The X-Men brand is going to take over the Avengers brand as being the main sort of, when everything comes together, is going to be the X-Men movies, not the Avengers movies.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Yes. Or they have multiple, right? Like they build up Avengers, you build up X-Men, you build up Fantastic Four. Because going back to real quick, like what Brie was saying, like for Doomsday, she loved Fantastic Four. She absolutely loved Fantastic Four. So she's saying the only reason she's watching Doomsday is to see more Fantastic Four. That's it. When I said she didn't know anything about Doom, so I was like, hey, like Doom is a Fantastic Four villain. She was like, okay, I'm in. I'm in. Like, so that Fantastic Four element is what got her in. So likewise, I feel like there's not a lot of people who are X-Men fans because, I mean, you look at the Foxverse films. I mean, it's just Wolverine, and the powers are kind of shown through a weird bio horror lens. So the X-Men are kind of viewed as like the weirdos, which they are. But like, from a commercial perspective, how do you commercialize that, and it's how you said, it's you build them up through these individual movies. So the X-Men, it's a huge thing, it means something. But I mean, the X-Men come together all the time. They're a much better oiled team than, like I said, the Avengers are.
Yeah, it's been so many different iterations of the Avengers, like the new Avengers, the Dark Avengers, the West Coast Avengers, like the Young Avengers. They're probably missing out a few, but so many different iterations of the group.
Yeah, like Cooper Hoffman is in talks to be Cyclops, which I don't.
Have you seen The Long Walk?
Yeah.
Him and David Johnson. But,
yeah.
So...
And now so we got T'Challa and potential Scott. Yeah, like so. But I think Cooper Hoffman, like I think, however they show Cyclops, they need to have a story arc where Cyclops is the biggest Xavier Brown-noser, and then he gets disillusioned, and then he becomes the biggest mutant revolutionary. Like, and that's what makes Cyclops work. He goes from being the biggest nerd, the biggest dude, he's such a square, to now he's like, we're gonna burn it all down and I'm a pirate and we're gonna do rebellion. Are you with me? And it's like, whoa, like,
yeah.
That's cool, like, I keep, like, Cyclops is my favorite. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters, bro. Like, I love Cyclops, and he's universal. And I think there is something to be said about the world needs an X-Men movie. Just like I feel like the world needed a Brand New Day, like right now. But I think the world especially needs an X-Men movie because there's just so much rampant bigotry and discrimination and all of that going on right now. And I do think the whole racism mutant allegory does not work because racism is stupid versus a fear of mutation can actually be legitimate. Rogue, her mutation out the placenta, she's accidentally killing people. You're not killing people because you're white or black as a baby. You get me? Like, there is a legitimate one-to-one thing that does not work. So I think the movie should kind of talk about that, like this is something that's never been happened in human history before. So how would the dynamics therefore look? That you should illustrate that, but I do think, like, with the world being so anti-immigration lately, anti-different, ableism and stuff like that, and having the X-Men kind of being like that metaphor for discrimination being different, I think it would be good point. Like, I think an Andrew Tate-esque villain would be perfect for an X-Men movie. I think, like a Donald Trump-esque villain would be perfect for an X-Men movie. And now you're educating the next generation of kids who are watching these movies, who are on these streamer constant content cycle, to kind of learn what deep critical thinking is. And the best X-Men stories force you to kind of have that humanity in you, like I said, I love the X-Men. I understand after watching Brand New Day why some people would be a little pro-mutant registration, I get it, But just because mutants are dangerous does not mean they need to be rounded up. It just means we need more research. So, yeah.
That's a very good note to end it on. And, apparently they're doing auditions for the X-Men, and since you've shaved your head now, maybe you have a chance of playing Charles.
I feel like I would be the worst Professor X, though. Like, I am not saying Professor X stuff at all. I feel like I'm like listen, no, I feel like no, Professor X would be saying this. I understand why, versus Magneto would be like, what the hell are you saying? Like,
yeah.
Listen, bro, and if the X-Men ever jump Spider-Man, I'm breaking into that screen and I'm fighting him because they better not jump on my boy. Like, you created the inhibitor chip. Yeah, well, he didn't know it was going to be used for that. But on that end, we'll wrap. thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. We'll be coming in pretty much every week now with so much content. We're probably going to be splicing this up as well, uploading it, because I know nobody's trying to watch through a 2-hour episode, but everybody will through a 10-minute one. So, yeah, thank you so much. We're back. Thank you very, very much. We'll see you guys next time. And yeah, take it easy, guys.
It's been fun. See you later.